All right, so my name is Oren Reshef. I'm from WashU. This is joint work with the awesome Shian sitting right here, and with Luvanzu, who is at NYU. We're going to talk about the short-term effects of generative artificial intelligence on employment, evidence from an online labor market. So first of all, thank all of you for attending the session, and thank the organizers for including us in the program. What you can maybe already see from the title, that there's going to be a lot of similarities in the settings between this paper and the paper that Cedric just presented. I will try to highlight the similar aspects of the two projects and where they kind of differ. To me, this is already pretty encouraging to see that even if we study the similar shop but in a slightly different platform, a slightly different setting, we get a lot of consistent results. And to me, that says something about the generalizability and the replicability of the findings. So to kind of jump into the motivation, and I think this is not as needed in a conference dedicated to generative AI. So 2022 was a big year for generative AI. In the beginning of the year, we have the release of more kind of image-based generative AI, such as Midjourney and DALL-E 2. And towards the end of the year, of course, the release of ChatGPT. This kind of new development really brought on public debates about the potential promises and potential perils of generative AI. What I put here is just a bunch of headlines from almost every important news outlet I'm familiar with. All of them are discussing how artificial intelligence is transforming the world. On the one hand, we have a pretty pessimistic view. AI poses a risk of extinction. Thoughts about regulating the new technology both in the United States and in the European Union. On the other hand, we see a lot of great promise, a lot of optimism. AI can help developing nations. It can cure all diseases, stabilize our climate, and halt poverty, at least in the long run. We won't be able to kind of address all of these different trade-offs. We're going to focus on one setting that we think is going to be strongly affected by generative AI, and that is the future of the labor market. Previous research leaves us on the fence of what we should expect generative AI to do in this setting. On the one hand, the more pessimistic view suggests that new technology, AI robots, are likely to substitute workers, leading to mass layoffs, mass unemployment, and potentially having very strong societal and economical ramifications. On the other hand, more kind of newer work suggests that AI may complement human workers, increasing both their productivity and making their work easier to do. Another important thing to think about is how does generative AI affect the composition of workers in the market. We have reason to think that it might increase inequality in the labor markets across workers or across occupations, or we might think on the converse that it might decrease, and I'll talk about that in a few slides. Recent work that we're going to see, I think, in 20 minutes, tries to predict the long-term implications of AI by trying to think about which type of occupations are likely to be most affected by generative AI. What we do here, I think, is complementary to this work. We try to provide empirical evidence about the very short-term, almost immediate implications of AI in the labor market. We do it by focusing on the introduction of ChatGPT, and I'll show you specifications using Midjourney and DALL-E 2, so other types of generative AI. And we try to study the employment and compensation of freelancers in a large online labor platform. Particularly, this is going to be Upwork for those who are familiar with it. We're going to use granular scrape data on the entire employment histories on the platform. And we're going to use a different research design in order to estimate the causal effect. We're also going to be particularly interested in heterogeneities by freelancers' quality, and I'll talk about how we define quality in this setting. Before we take the research questions, so first we're going to ask, how does the introduction of generative AI affect labor market outcomes in the short term? And then the second question is going to be, how are these effects moderated or potentially exacerbated by workers' quality? I won't leave you wondering, so here are the main results. So first of all, we find the introduction of ChatGPT has a negative effect on workers on this platform. And we also find that worker quality, so either if you look at experience or if you look at ratings or the type of job that they do, does little to moderate these adverse effects. If anything, and I'll put a few caveats when we get to this result, we actually find that high-quality workers, these top performers, are the ones that are most negatively affected by the release of ChatGPT, and I'll try to give some intuition as to why that might be the case. So that's let me kind of jump into the setting. I don't think I have to present ChatGPT to this crowd. It was launched in November 2022 by OpenAI, and this is going to be the main shot that we're going to be using for our analysis. Just to give you kind of a little bit of data here, so this is from Google Trends, so we see the relative interest in various search terms over time. We put here ChatGPT, GPT, and AI. We see in ChatGPT and GPT very little interest before November 22, followed by a large boom in interest on Google. The same, to a lesser extent perhaps, we see for AI. There is some interest going on prior to November 2022. But again, once ChatGPT comes out, that really leads to a lot of public debate and public interest in the technology. In terms of our empirical setting, so we're going to be looking at Upwork. Upwork, for those who are not familiar with the platform, is one of the largest online labor markets in the world. The way that it works is that potential employers, which can be you and me, we post a job, usually a short-term job, on the platform, and then you get offers from various freelancers. Jobs on the platforms are very diverse, ranging from design to proofreading to administrative support to data coding, consulting, anything you can think about. Most of them are, of course, done online on the platform. The employer gets potential sets of freelancers that they can choose based on some information provided by these freelancers. We think that Upwork is a good setting to study the short-term effect of generative AI for two reasons. First of all, we're actually able to get the data, so we can see the full employment history of the freelancers on the platform. And second, while generative AI has a lot of capabilities, it's still not at the point where it can replace full-time workers, such as a university professor or a full-time developer. Where we think we might see a lot more action is in these really kind of short-term, high-turnover positions like we have on this freelancer website. In terms of our data, we scraped the entire public employment of all workers on this platform, which includes about 92,000 freelancers. Our main sample period to see the effect of ChatGPT is going to be January 2022 until April 2023, which is when we scrape the data. Our main outcomes of interest are going to be monthly number of jobs and income on the platform. I would just note that we're only able to see income and jobs on the platform. We're not able to see what happens off the platform naturally. We're also going to be looking at other observables at the job and the freelancer level. I'll talk about these when they become ready. In terms of our research design, so research design is going to be a difference in differences analysis, and we're going to be defining our treated group and our control groups based on the type of occupation, on the type of services that these freelancers are offering. In particular, we're going to be focusing on our treatment group as work for workers who are providing writing-related services. There are a few reasons to think that this is a good treatment group. So first of all, generative AI, particularly ChatGPT, is trained specifically to generate and predict text. Looking at previous work that tries to kind of quantify which type of professions are going to be most affected by ChatGPT, writing-related occupations are consistently among the most exposed occupations, whichever kind of metric you try to predict the exposure to generative AI. Finally, to do a little bit more of empirical work here, what we did is we used Google Trends, and we basically looked at all of the kind of industries that are available on Upwork in conjunction with the term ChatGPT. So trying to figure out what are people looking for online. You can see for all of them, there's almost zero interest before November 22. And then the one category that really kind of stands above the rest, I'm going to get my flipper on, is GPT in conjunction with writing. We do see interest in some other industries, so for us that's going to suggest that whatever we are estimating might be a lower bound of the true effect on ChatGPT. I will also show you later very similar results when we look at image editing services following the introduction of Midjourney and DALL-E, and this is going to be, the shot is going to be given at around April 2022. So to jump into the main results, let me just explain what we see here. So first of all, our unit of observation is going to be the freelancer month level. In all of the columns except column 3, we're using the inverse sine H transformation, meaning that all of our coefficients should be interpreted as percentage change. And all the regressions include freelancer fixed effect, month fixed effect, and all of the regressions are clustered at the occupation level, which is the level at which we assign treatment. We decompose the effect into the total effect and then the extensive margin, so what is the probability of having any job or any income in a given month. And we also look at the intensive margin, conditional on working, how many jobs do you have, how much income do you make. I'll focus only on the total today. We see a decrease of about 2% in the number of jobs on the platform and a consistent increase of about 5% in monthly revenue. To show this graphically, here we have the same thing for the number of jobs and monthly revenue. The identifying assumption of the diff design is the parallel trend, meaning absent of treatment, both would have developed the same way over time. We see relatively parallel trends in the pre-period, followed by a sharp, persistent decrease after the introduction of ChatGPT. These results are robust to whatever we throw at it, so we try alternative control, alternative clustering, we do bootstrap, we do coarse and exact matching, so we build a matched sample of freelancers and similarly looking control freelancers, and we find very similar results. To me, the most convincing robustness test is actually looking at the image generating AI, because this examines a similar shock, but it happened at a different time and on a different set of workers. So it's not just kind of manipulating the standard error, but actually thinking about a different population. Again, we see parallel trends in the pre-period, followed by a sharp and persistent decrease following the introduction of generative AI in these occupations. The next question we're going to be interested in is examining how these effects are moderated by workers' quality. We have some reasons to think why it might go up or might go down. On the one hand, previous research, including some work that I've done in the past, suggests that high-quality suppliers or high-quality firms are going to be the least affected by adverse market shocks. So it's going to be kind of the low-quality firms, the firms on the kind of margin of exit, that are going to be the most negatively affected when there is a negative shock of the demand in the market. On the other hand, more recent work kind of looks at it in a different way. If we think about generative AI as potential tool, then we might think that it's going to be the lowest skilled workers who are going to benefit the most from this new technology. If you're already very good at doing proofreading, you don't really need to use AI, you're not going to get a lot, but if you're kind of slow, if you're not doing a very good job, AI can really complement your skill and increase your productivity on the platform. Empirically, of course, defining quality is very difficult to do. The way that we address this, we try to think about various measures. I'll show you some of them, but not all today, just in the interest of time. We look at measures of experience, such as past jobs, past income, measures of success, such as whether they receive the top performers or whether the platform identifies them as being one of the top freelancers on the platform. We look at their past success rate, their hourly rate, their price, which again we think is a proxy for the quality, and we look at the skill level of previous jobs. What I show here are the results. So we run a triple diff specification with lines 2 and 4 here showing the triple interaction together with the heterogeneity variable as detailed below. This is a dummy variable here which we coded as above or below median. The first thing that I want to note is that all of the coefficients here across the board are negative, suggesting that high quality workers are differentially affected, more affected by the introduction of ChatGPT. We do the same thing for other alternative measures, we do the same thing for image-based generative AI, and we do it with the continuous measure. I will say that for most of the other versions that we have, the results are even stronger. Here we chose to be a little conservative, and we're going to interpret this as suggestive evidence that high-quality workers are disproportionately hurt by the introduction of generative AI. So to just kind of sum everything up, so we have two main results. Our first, that freelancers in occupations most affected by AI experienced reductions in both employment and earnings on the platform. We also find that offering high-quality service or being a top performer does not mitigate these effects, and we might say that we find suggestive evidence it might actually exacerbate these effects. What are some of the implications? So first of all, we do see that generative AI might potentially harm workers. It does not seem to increase inequality in the market. So it is not the case that some of the top workers are benefiting more compared to the lower worker, thus increasing inequality. From the firm side, another way to think about it is how can you kind of protect yourself against these negative effects? Is perhaps by offering high quality service. Our results suggest that this is not the case, that even being a top performer, providing better service, whether this is high skill or having more experience, does not seem to moderate these effects. I'll end. Do you have 1 minute?
Yeah, take your time.
Good. So I'll just end with a couple of caveats. So first of all, of course, what we observe is the implications for the short run. This is what we currently have. Long run implication might look somewhat different. We do think it's important to provide empirical evidence, even in the short run. We're still trying to figure out what this technology might do. And of course, in this setting, we only look at the effect on the worker. We're not looking on the effect on the potential employers or even consumers. So that's all I have today. Thank you for your attention. I look forward to your feedback.